Alright guys, and welcome to a brand new experiment on the Little Lawton Gaming channel. We are doing an experiment on F1 2021 today. So what I've gone and done is I have simulated 10 seasons of my team to find out exactly who F1 2021 is going to win every single season, what constructor is going to win every single season, and what driver moves it is expected. So without further ado, let's get into season 1. So in season 1, obviously there are no driver changes. However, Lewis Hamilton did win the Drivers' Championship and Mercedes got the Constructors. Hamilton picked up 9 victories. Valtteri Bottas picked up 7 in quite a tight title race. Max Verstappen wasn't far behind with 5 victories. Sergio Perez picking up the 1 victory. Red Bull, Mercedes, very tight, very close all the way through. But in the end, Lewis just pipped Valtteri to the World Championship. And Mercedes were about 40 odd points in the end ahead of Red Bull come the end of the season. Quite a few DNFs in there, to be honest with you. But all in all, not a bad season. Going into season 2, there will be regulation changes as well. So let's see if they make any difference to the front running cars. So not only does season 2 bring regulation changes, it also brings a lot of driver movement. Fernando Alonso has chosen to retire. Pierre Gasly then moved to Alpine. Kimi Raikkonen moved to AlphaTauri. George Russell moved to Alfa Romeo. Mick Schumacher moved to Williams. Nicholas Latifi moved to Haas. And then Matsushita was drafted in for Williams. Max Verstappen used those regulation changes to his advantage as him and Red Bull absolutely dominated both championships, picking them up. Max Verstappen 15 victories out of 22 races, absolutely insane. Sergio Perez picking up 3. Lewis Hamilton 2 victories. Valtteri Bottas 2 victories. Mercedes well off the pace. They need to be doing better, and fingers crossed for their sake, season 3 provides a few more victories and maybe a championship. So there are just the 3 driver movements in season 3. Sebastian Vettel chose to retire. Mick Schumacher, on the move for the 2nd season on the trot, went to fill his seat at Aston Martin, which then meant Williams had to draft in another rookie, Jack Aitken, to fill that seat there. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, Max Verstappen picks up his 2nd back-to-back. However, Mercedes did get a better season and they did win the Constructors. They just seem to have a bit more about them this season. Max Verstappen did get victories, but not as many, with just 10. Lewis Hamilton 6 victories, Valtteri Bottas with 5, and a surprise victory for Daniel Ricciardo's in there as well. Maybe a sign of things to come. In season 4, we saw Kimi Raikkonen retire. Antonio Giovinazzi then joined AlphaTauri, and Alfa Romeo drafted up Guan Yu Zhou to fill their empty seat. Lewis Hamilton got his hands on a 9th driver's title, and Mercedes got yet another Constructors' Championship, seemingly getting their grasp back on Formula 1 as a sport. Lewis Hamilton with 14 victories, absolutely dominant. Valtteri Bottas with 4, Max Verstappen also with 4. Mercedes seemingly dominant, but there is a regulation change coming in season 5. Will we finally see someone other than Mercedes or Red Bull pick up the Constructors? Let's find out. So with regulation changes in season 5, it has also brought another load of driver movement. Valtteri Bottas has decided to retire. His quest for a world championship is over. He's given up. He's acknowledged it's probably never going to happen. Lando Norris has then moved to Mercedes to fill his seat. George Russell gets the big move he wants. He's gone to McLaren. Nicholas Latifi has moved to Alfa Romeo to fill in for George. And Haas have drafted up Robert Schwartzman. Well, Lando Norris might be feeling a little bit silly because the drivers' champion for this season was Daniel Ricciardo and the constructors went to McLaren. Insane. The regulation changes have thrown up all sorts of changes. McLaren definitely running at the front, and then there's like 3 cars behind them: Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull, all battling it out. Daniel Ricciardo picked up 12 victories en route to his maiden world championship. George Russell picked up 6 victories in his first season in a front-running car. Lando Norris picked up 3 victories in his first season at Mercedes, and Lewis Hamilton just the 1 victory. Struggling, but the McLarens were very dominant. So as we go into season 6, there were no driver moves this year, no regulation changes. It is as you were, and it was as you were for the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors, as Ricciardo and McLaren retain. Much tighter season though. Ricciardo didn't run away with it as much as he did last year. Just the 10 victories for Daniel Ricciardo, George Russell with 9. It's still a very dominant year for McLaren, but because Max Verstappen only picked up 2 victories in his Red Bull and Lando Norris picked up 1 victory in the Mercedes. It's going to be interesting to see who can knock this McLaren off its perch. Is there a regulation change coming? Well, yes, there is. Let's find out if McLaren drop off top. So in season 7 we've got these regulation changes. We've also got a little bit of movement when it comes to the drivers. Sergio Perez has chosen to retire. Charles Leclerc has gone to Red Bull to fill that spot. He's only been speaking about this recently, but Lewis Hamilton moved to Ferrari. And then Mercedes decided to draft someone up. Rather than going for a proven F1 driver, they drafted up Callum Ilott. McLaren weren't knocked off their perch. They retained the constructors. However, it was Mercedes' Norris that picked up the Drivers' Championship in one of the tightest races. It went down to the final race, and in the end, Lando Norris picked up the win in Abu Dhabi to win the title by 3 points. But overall, Lando picked up 8 victories this season. Daniel Ricciardo picked up 8 victories. George Russell 4. Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc picked up 1 each respectively. If it's going to carry on like this, the battle between Lando and Daniel could be epic for seasons to come. So as season 8 rolls around, that epic title fight between the former teammates Ricciardo and Lando Norris that I thought was going to carry on for years, but it's over. Ricciardo's retired, he's out, he don't want any more of it. Filling in for him at McLaren is going to be Carlos Sainz. And then a move that is just written in the stars, Mick Schumacher to Ferrari, and Aston Martin drafted up Lundgaard to fill Schumacher's seat. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, Norris retained, and without Ricciardo at McLaren, it just seemed Mercedes dominated as they got the Constructors' Championship as well. Lando Norris, 14 victories. Without the Aussie there was no one really to stop him from picking them up. Callum Ilott picking up 5, finally getting to grips with that Mercedes car himself. George Russell managed to pick up 2, and Charles Leclerc adds another 1 to his tally, so he's got 2 over the course of the 8 seasons now. It's interesting. Mercedes certainly looking dominant. Can they carry it on to season 9? Season 9, no regulation change, no driver moves either. Surely this is just going one way, to one driver. Well, it's going to the same team. Mercedes pick up the constructors, but it's Callum Ilott knocking his teammate off the top spot. He picked up 10 victories this season. Lando Norris picked up 8. George Russell showing that McLaren is improving, picking up 6 victories. Will Mercedes finish this 10-year experiment on top? Or will we see a different team on top in Season 10? Oh, and there's some regulation changes for the final season. So here we are, the final season of the experiment. One last regulation change and a few driver movements as Lewis Hamilton chose to retire. Yuki Tsunoda then moved to Ferrari and Dan Ticktum was drafted up to AlphaTauri. And we did see change in the championships as Charles Leclerc gets his maiden world championship in the Red Bull and also bringing the Red Bull the Constructors' Championship. Charles Leclerc just dominated the whole season. He finished on 15 victories. Max Verstappen's finished on 3 victories. George Russell picked up 2 in his McLaren. Lando Norris and Callum Ilott both picking up 1 in their Mercedes. Red Bull started relatively strongly. They finished strongly. But the driver of the whole experiment for me, Daniel Ricciardo, when he was on top, he was incredible. I've really enjoyed doing this experiment, and if you guys have enjoyed it, please drop it a like, give us a subscribe. I'll be more than happy to maybe go into more depth with what's gone on, as well as make another one or do a different sort of experiment on F1 2021. Just let me know in the comments. I'll catch you guys later.